welcome back to another video. So today I will be talking about part of my Orlando trip. I will be focusing on the 2 days, well, 2 days in the parks and 1 day in the water park in Universal Orlando. So this is going to be where we stayed, what we thought of it, what we thought of express passes, and just what we did in the 2 days that we spent there. We also spent the day slash afternoon, we really got there at like lunchtime, but we spent half a day at Volcano Bay as well. So I just thought I would mention that on this vlog as well. So as you may have seen in my previous videos for both this Orlando trip and our trip in 2023, we have a base which is based towards sort of the Disney area, either on property, a partner hotel, a villa, you name it. Our base is usually Disney because we will go to the parks a lot more on the sort of the duration of the holiday. So while we're there, we obviously want to go and visit the Universal parks. So we do have a bit of a tip and a trick if you're wanting to stay on property for maybe part of your holiday, and the best way to get the benefits and the perks. So I firstly just wanted to mention that we personally can get all of our rides and park days done at Universal typically in 2 days, and that's because there are some things that we don't really want to ride. You'll see in previous videos there are some rides that we sort of bypass. For example, the 4D rides, we don't like them, we think there's too many of them. So there's like, based on that alone, there's like 3 or 4 rides that we just completely bypass. So it might be different for anyone else watching this video. If you maybe want to spend a lot more of your time at Universal, maybe this video is probably not the best advice, but this is just coming from someone who spends only a couple of days at Universal Orlando, wants to make the most of the time there, and if you want to stay there basically as well. So what we found out last year, I don't know if we were just late to the game or what, but we found out there are 3 premium hotels on Universal property that they're quite pricey because of this benefit. You get early park admission, so along with all of the other sort of the standard or value Universal hotels, you get the early park entry, which is typically an hour into Islands of Adventure, and it's usually just the Wizarding World area plus Velocicoaster. But it's not only that perk, you also get, if staying on one of these 3 properties, you get unlimited, that's right, unlimited express pass, and that is express passes for the duration of your stay from check-in to check-out. So we stay 1 night, we have done twice now for 2 different properties, so we've got express passes for 2 days, so the check-in day and the check-out day. Now I know what you're thinking, why don't you just buy express passes? Like, surely why would you want to get a hotel stay if you're just getting express passes? Let me tell you for why. Express passes on their own are like sometimes around like up to $300 per person per day. Getting a hotel, less than that. So if you think about it, doing maths, I hate maths, but I'm going to do it on this vlog. So if you're thinking of getting express passes for 2 days per person, it's probably going, well, for us anyway, for me and my sister when we were there in January, we looked and it was around $550, nearly $600 per person for the 2 days. So that is like $1,200 that you're going to be spending total. Compare it to a hotel that includes the express passes in the hotel stay. We found Loews Portofino Bay, which is what I'll just say the most expensive one that you can get. That's usually the hotel which is always the highest price out of the 3. We got it for £379 for the night, and that is total, so we split it between the 2 of us. So like 190, like just under 190. Yeah, I'm just doing mental maths. Just under £190 per person. Either that or the $600 for the 2 days. You're gonna go for the hotel, right? And this is the main reason why we stay at this hotel. I mean, everything else is just like an added bonus. The hotel itself, how close it is, the amenities in the room, like the actual room itself. They are amazing sized rooms, but we just go for the express passes. But it's totally worth it. Like both times, well, we've done it twice, both times have been lovely stays, so I would definitely recommend doing that. If you're part of any Universal Facebook groups, so like Universal Tips and Tricks, Universal Advice Hotel Stays, any of those Facebook groups, you might see a question about this type of way that you stay, and people call it on these Facebook groups a ghost room, because the majority of people that do this don't stay in the room. They just purchase a room for the night, check in, get their express passes and go to the parks and don't actually stay in the room, which you can do. This brings me on to my next point. If any of you follow me on my TikTok, you will see that a couple of weeks ago I actually did a video on what a ghost room is, why people do this, mainly because it's a lot cheaper than buying express passes. It was very popular, it got a lot of views. It also had a lot of confusing comments from, I think, just people that were confused about what it is. Because I had people saying I was selfish. I had people saying that it's morally wrong to book a hotel and not stay in it because it takes the hotel room away from other people. I disagree, mainly because if you've ever booked or stayed in these hotels, you will know that they are never full. And I know that by checking every day that we're even there, and there's always hotel rooms available. But also it's the fact that the hotel is offering a night stay to you and offering those express passes. So if the hotel allows it, you're allowed to do it. I don't think there's any selfishness. It's just simply I'm trying to make the most of my money and trying to find the cheapest way possible. But I think people were also confused because they thought that I was buying a night stay at this Premier hotel whilst also staying on Universal in another hotel. So they just thought, well, why don't you just purchase the one hotel? I'm not doing that. So just to confirm, my base is at Disney. I'm going to be spending a couple of nights at Universal Studios. I want express passes. I'm going to nip over there and just get the Premier hotel with the passes included. I can stay overnight. You've got the hotel room there for you, but you don't have to. That's why people call it a ghost room. I would like to know your thoughts on this. So if anyone's watching this and is a bit confused, or they think, you know, that they personally wouldn't do it because of the reasons that I've mentioned, please let me know. I'd be happy to hear your thoughts. And in my opinion, there's no right or wrong thing. I think the only wrong thing to do would be somehow getting around it, but I don't think there is a way of getting around it. The hotel offers one night stays. They're not forcing you to stay in the room, so you can do it. So moving on to the hotel itself. So I mentioned a lot about the Premier hotels. Now we've stayed, as I've said, 2 out of the 3. So if I just mention again the 3 hotels that are the premium hotels that offer unlimited express passes included in your hotel fare. They are Hard Rock Hotel, Loews Portofino Bay, and Loews Royal Pacific Resort. So those 3 are the ones you need to look out for if you want to have express passes included in your stay. So I've stayed at both Loews hotels, so Royal Pacific, Portofino Bay. I'm yet to stay at Hard Rock. I've heard from so many people that Hard Rock is amazing and they absolutely love it. So I definitely want to stay there. There was no sort of reason for staying at, like for choosing the Loews hotels before Hard Rock. I mean, based on how we did it last year, we were just trying to find the cheapest option, and Royal Pacific is usually the cheapest out of the 3. I mean, there's not much in it, but sometimes like Portofino Bay can be like 500 and then Royal Pacific can be like 350. So there's a bit in it. But yeah, the first time that was simply we wanted the cheapest. This time it was just me and my sister. We had maybe a higher budget. I feel like maybe we did. But we did see Portofino Bay and just fall in love with it, and we absolutely loved it. Now you've probably guessed from the name of the hotel, it is Italian themed, is literally themed to Portofino Bay in Italy. Like the actual bay itself, you've got like the Italian restaurants, you've got people singing opera, you've got gelato. It's stunning. It is probably one of the nicest hotels I've ever stayed at. It also had one of the biggest rooms that I've ever stayed at. I can't believe there was so much space. I mean, it could fit a total of 5 people, that room. I even think for 5 people that was a lot of room. And also the bathroom was massive. I think you could have taken part of that bathroom off and added like another queen bed. Like it was that big. It was such a nice room. There's like a coffee machine. The TV was on playing like Velocicoaster and Hagrid's POVs. Everything was just stunning. Like, it was just a beautiful room. And it's so convenient as well. It is a hotel that is really close to both parks. In terms of like specificity, it is closer to studios than it is islands. They said to us when we checked in, it's just under a mile, so it would take between 15 and 20 minutes. Now, I don't know if like an American 15 to 20 minutes is a lot longer than the UK, but it took us like just under 10. So I don't know if we were just fast walking, but it did not take 20 minutes, I assure you. Like, yeah, I think maybe that was just slow walkers maybe, but it was so conveniently located. It was a lovely path walkway to the actual entrance. They also have a water taxi, so a boat that you can actually access the parks. It takes you sort of to the middle part of City Walk, so you can actually choose which part you go to. Our preference was Islands of Adventure to get there for early entry, so we just walked to the left instead of going to the right to studios. But it's just so convenient, and I think you're paying for that convenience as well. It's all just, there were just so many benefits to staying on property in one of these hotels. Moving on to the express passes. So this is the second time we've actually done this system and purchased express passes and actually used them for both parks. I would say though this time we did find that the lines were a lot slower to go down in terms of the express lines. We do find, I don't know if we don't like comparing it to Disney, because there are definitely things that Universal do better. In my opinion, the price of the merch, I would just say, the merch is a lot cheaper. But I do feel that express at Universal, they don't prioritise. If you go to Disney, they will prioritise Lightning Lane and they will make sure that you're not waiting very long. But at Universal, if they see a line in express, they'll go, yeah, there's still not a long line though, we'll let the standby line go through, which isn't really express in my opinion. I think express, you're paying for a service for a shorter queue, and sometimes the queue is the same length. So it's not amazing, I would say, but you are cutting your line shorter, probably by half of it. I would say maybe a bit less than that, but overall 1000% recommend express passes. I mean, there are some rides that you're going to just be waiting a long time. Like in what we experienced was the King's Cross side of the Hogwarts Express going to Hogsmeade. We found that that line was the same amount of time, if not longer, than standby. We don't know why, but we sort of experienced that in our July holiday last year, but we thought, oh well, we're in express, we've paid for this, so we're not gonna get out. But we did leave the line when we went in January, because we just felt like it was too long and we could just walk to Hogsmeade, which was less time. So just remember, you can do that. You don't have to get the Hogwarts Express, you can just walk to the next park. But then some rides, you're literally just, the time it takes for you to queue is just walking through the queue. So for example, the best like time or best example is probably Gringotts. So the time posted is anywhere between like 25 and 65. I've always seen it. I don't think I've ever seen it more than like an hour. But when you go in, I think because they're so good at crowd control there, and they're so good at putting people into that pre-show, putting people into the elevators, and then going up like the stairs in that final part, I think they're just so good with lines in general for that ride. But we went on it I think twice or 3 times, and every single time, I think the longest we waited was 10 minutes, and that was just to get to the queue to wait in the elevator and get up the stairs. So there's not like, we were just constantly, the only time we were stood still was the pre-show in the elevator. So I would definitely say some rides probably are better for express than others, but overall I think it's definitely key to get express. And moving on to the rides, I'm not going to talk much about the rides because this is, I think, very subjective. If you like rides, then great, but if you don't, you're going to just feel completely different. But I actually went on Velocicoaster this time. You'll know from my previous holiday trip here that I didn't go on it because I was petrified, and my brother and sister came off it, and their hair was like windswept. They looked like they were about to collapse. I just thought, no, do you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to chill and just video. But because it was just me and my sister really wanted to go on it, and she was like, come on, like, we've got express, you might as well just do it, just do it. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to do it. And it was the first ride we went on the first day that we got there. We decided to bypass Hagrid's for the morning and just thought, let's go straight to Velocicoaster. I'm just going to go on it. I'm not going to think about it. And I did it, and it was amazing. I loved it. It was thrilling. It was intense. It did feel a bit like you were falling out your seat. I mean, my bum was off the seat most of the time, but it was amazing. It was such a good ride. The theming's fantastic. The video that they put on just as you're about to go on it, like when they sort of tell you the whole theme and the story behind it, I just think's amazing. Like, they themed this ride so well. And we managed to go on Hagrid's twice on both days. So I mentioned this in one of last year's vlogs, but I have a top tip for riding Hagrid. So of course Hagrid doesn't have express. I don't think they'll do that for a couple of years, maybe when the popularity dies down. I do have a feeling they'll put express in when Epic Universe is opened next year, so maybe in a year's time. But if you don't want to wait, because the wait is always so long, like it's insanely long, here's a tip for you. Either early entry, just go there as quick as you can, and that's probably the shortest line it's going to be for that day, or wait for the ride to go down in terms of weather, in terms of technical difficulties, whatever it is. When it's down, the staff will basically tell you to go away. We don't know when it's going to come back up. We don't know. But if you hear the ride testing, they're testing it to check that it's okay to go back on. So hang about in Hogsmeade, hang about under sort of the covered bit next door, go into a shop, go into Honeydukes, go and take photos in front of the castle, and then just head back. And then as soon as it's reopened again, you just put your bags in your locker, head straight on the ride, and it's a walk on. We did that. It was down. It wasn't weather, it was something else. We leisurely sort of walked over to the locker area, just sat down in front of the locker area, and then within about 10 minutes the ride was open and we were on the ride. There was no queue. We walked through the whole ride, got on straight away, didn't even wait, and it was like 5 minutes, that whole experience. So if you're happy to hang about, obviously you might be hanging about, depending on how long it's down for, the same amount of time that you'd be waiting in an actual queue. But that's why I will say always go and have a look in a shop, go and take some photos. In the meantime, just hang about in the area, and that could work. It's a tip. It might not work for everybody, but it's worked for me twice now, so I think it's a good tip. And then lastly, just wanted to mention Volcano Bay. We went there for half a day. We got premium seating for like 30% off, because it discounts after like 1:30 or something, which is like when it's like, oh, okay, well, you've had half the day, so we'll give it to you at a discount for the rest of the day. Great service. Food can be ordered and comes to you. You get like a locker box and everything, and yeah, I think that was really good value for money. It cost us, I think, $44, if I remember correctly. But that was so much fun. I didn't really film much just because you can't film on the rides or the slides there, but it was so much fun, and it is an amazing water park. It's not my favourite. My favourite will always be Typhoon Lagoon. I just love the wave pool there, but I do love the music that they play at Volcano Bay when the waves come on. Like, they do a whole, like, the lifeguards do like a clap, and like there's like drums on and everything. It's so much fun. But I do love Volcano Bay. It is probably one of the best water parks out there, and I recommend going. But overall, I did have an amazing time at Universal Studios. I can't wait to go back. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do have any more questions or any other tips for me, maybe that I've missed, please comment down below, and of course follow me everywhere if you want to. But follow me on TikTok, where I do post a lot more sort of content and everything about my trips. So I hope you enjoyed my video, and I will see you again soon.